A man arrives at the academy for the first time. Ignorantly, he points his blade at a genius professor who commands 5 elements. Everyone expects him to lose miserably, but unexpectedly during the battle, the professor not only holds back, but when their eyes meet, she even blushes in front of everyone. It turns out she already knew him. She'd even written him a love letter before. Yet this nobleman, admired by hundreds of millions of girls, makes most people break out in cold sweat when they hear his name. The Smiling Executioner. This is the title people gave to Julian. Rumor has it he kills without batting an eye. Because of this, when Julian arrives at Vale Academy for the closed eyes order selection ceremony, he immediately causes panic among all the candidates. Why is that royal mad dog here? And worse yet, a new student accidentally bumps into Julian. Despite his continuous apologies, everyone thinks this guy is dead. This becomes everyone's consensus. Even Herland, who came with Julian, says, "Calm down, he's just a kid." But what they don't know is that the soul of the villain Julian has already been replaced by a shut-in gamer who just wants to survive in this dangerous game world. Damn it, I haven't even done anything yet. Although he has none of these terrible intentions, the purple glow emanating from the surrounding students confirms their deep fear. According to the game's setting, Julian possesses the ability to see through others' negative emotions. He often used this power to toy with his enemies. I need to calm them down. Julian's arrival at Vale Academy to oversee the selection is actually a conspiracy by some higher-ups in the order. Because he previously injured his head, rumors spread that Julian lost his memory. So if he messes up this selection, the higher-ups will have reason to expel him from the order. But before Julian can do anything, a gentle female voice calls out from a distance. "Good morning, Mr. Julian." The newcomer is none other than Vale Academy's genius professor, Eileen Donation, one of the main characters in the game Demon King Slayer. At a young age, she mastered 5 rare elements and successfully broke through to become a 5-circle archmage. She's even a member of the Adelaton Magic Tower. But why is she greeting me? Aren't Eileen and Julian supposed to be strangers? He hopes to use Professor Eileen's authority to quiet down the students. But looking closely, she too emanates a strange glow. But its form and color are unlike anyone else's. Is it fear or anger? No, that's resentment. And it's terrifyingly deep. Why? The shut-in is stunned. He has no idea what Julian did before to make a girl harbor such intense emotions. He wants to ease the tension. But what comes out is, "Who gave you permission to speak to me, you Donation half-blood?" The moment these words leave his mouth, the atmosphere drops to freezing. Eileen looks at Julian with disgust, as if looking at trash. Great! Now I can't even speak! Julian wants to cry at his own stupidity. What am I doing? Although he adds, "How may I help you?" the atmosphere remains frozen in terrifying silence. In for a penny, in for a pound. He decides to act like Julian would. He draws his sword and shouts loudly, "Did becoming a half-blood cut your hearing in half too? Then let the sound of someone dying restore it." Julian intends to crack her defenses with these words, then comfort her. But reality is nothing like he imagined. The moment Eileen sees him draw his sword, terrifying magical power erupts from her. Drawing your sword means a declaration of war, even if you're from the Closed Eyes Order. I won't stand by while you commit violence against Vale Academy's staff and students. Although Eileen doesn't want to oppose Julian, she knows she must. Taking her stance, Eileen immediately casts the 3-circle magic, Lightning Strike. The attack hits Julian's sword. The incredibly realistic impact makes him realize he's truly in a real battle. Seeing him space out at a time like this, Eileen grows even more furious. He's not taking me seriously at all. She immediately begins evacuating the students, preparing to teach Julian a lesson. But the moment Eileen turns her head, he launches an attack. Though she reacts and uses a shield, Julian's overwhelming strength shatters it instantly. The enemy is now less than 20 centimeters away, but the emotion rising in Eileen's heart isn't fear, it's attraction. Her heart racing, she frantically releases her skills forward, with no control over their power. After calming down, Eileen begins to regret. She actually doesn't want to hurt Julian, because he was once someone she looked up to all her life. Although Julian was just a branch member of the Crippart family, his noble bearing was stronger than anyone else's. Not only did he have wide connections, but his excellent swordsmanship earned him the title of the Empire's Rising Star. During his time at Vale Academy, he was admired by countless female students. Even the genius Eileen was one of them. The moment she first saw him, her heart was completely captured. Although she knew their social positions were worlds apart, Eileen still couldn't bear to miss her chance, so she confessed, and was harshly rejected. Every time she thinks of this, Eileen feels a sense of shame. But the shut-in who just transmigrated into Julian doesn't know about this. He thinks she's blushing because she's angry that her attacks aren't working. Unable to bear it, Julian decides to end this battle immediately. He flashes behind Eileen, then gently taps her head with his sword hilt. Why not end this farce now? This action makes Eileen's heart flutter. But more than that, she's confused. For a moment, she even sees a glimpse of that gentle senior from before, not a cold-blooded executioner. Why? You had the chance. Why didn't you use your signature moonlight sword? Are you looking down on me? Julian is speechless, can only laugh awkwardly. He can't exactly say he just transmigrated and hasn't studied this character's sword techniques yet, can he? That would confirm the rumors about his memory loss. So he must play Julian perfectly and demonstrate his villainy. So he grins. Miss Eileen, do you really want to know? The moment she hears this, Eileen's pupils dilate in shock. It's the first time she's heard him address her so gently. She nods. So Julian explains. He actually had no intention of starting a conflict. It's just that Herland, who came with him, is visiting the academy for the first time and doesn't know where the Closed Eyes Order selection ceremony is held. He just wanted to ask for directions, but unexpectedly caused panic. Now that you know, lead the way immediately. Donation half-blood. Eileen stands there dumbfounded. The reason was that simple. Although slightly annoyed, the kind-hearted she still leads them. Walking along the road, Julian feels a wave of relief. relief. I don't know the Moonlight Sword at all. Another thing is that he often unconsciously displays his useless gentleness as a shut-in, which is completely opposite to Julian's personality. Eileen is starting to suspect something now. This isn't a good sign. I need to act the part better. The smiling executioner. But this scene terrifies the two beside him. They both have the same thought. What is this guy plotting now? A few minutes later, they arrive at Vale Academy's training grounds. This is the venue for today's selection. As soon as they enter, Julian begins loudly introducing himself to everyone. Meanwhile, Herlin scans the area suspiciously. Finally, his gaze lands on a blue-haired young man. Found him. The second son of the Toss family. Their family is notable because of their good relationship with the Krippart family. The Closed Eyes Order is an organization directly under the royal family, and everyone considers joining it an honor. Therefore, the competition is extremely fierce. The assessment typically involves dueling with the chief examiner. This is the first trap the higher-ups set today. If Julian lets the Toss family lose and be humiliated in battle, he doesn't understand social etiquette. Conversely, if he lets the Toss family's second son pass, that's favoritism and corruption. Either way, the higher-ups can use it as an excuse to deal with Julian. What will you do, Julian? After all, this situation is unsolvable. Just then, a calm voice echoes across the training ground. Do you know what sound a person makes when they die? This sentence makes everyone tremble. The speaker is Julian. Using Julian's notorious image to issue a suffocating threat. Withdraw voluntarily if you don't want to die. The effect is immediate. Facing the Empire's most feared villain, almost no one can remain composed. I withdraw. A candidate crushed by fear speaks first. Then, one after another. Even the certain second son is scared into raising his hand to withdraw. As the Closed Eyes Order candidates announce their withdrawals one by one, Julian breathes a secret sigh of relief. End of test. If there are no other challengers, the test ends here. Then Julian turns his gaze to Eileen in the audience. He's surprised to find that the disgust that was raging above her head has disappeared. This should be cause for celebration. But he quickly realizes something is wrong. If my intimidation affected her, shouldn't she show fear? Or at least be on guard? Is there something I don't know about? While he's puzzling over this, Eileen leaves the arena with an inscrutable expression. Then Julian returns to his mansion. The moment he gets home, he feels relieved, slumps into a chair, sighs deeply, and falls into thought. He understands this is the Council of Elders conspiracy, solely to kick him out of the family. Getting through today was pure luck, but luck won't always be there. What if this happens again? After sorting his thoughts, he looks at the sword sheath on the table. He knows Julian's arrogance stems from the swordsmanship that allows him to wield this blade. Then I must master that power too. He grips the sword hilt. As metal scrapes, the blade gradually reveals itself. Julian discovers he can see the sword's trajectory. So this is what they call the sword path? Is this Julian's talent? He swings the sword following the path in his vision. Instantly, a clear sword cry pierces the night sky. Though he can grasp the basic sword path, this is far from enough. After all, the Empire has countless masters of swordsmanship. The reason this twisted-minded guy has survived this long is because he possesses exceptional advantages that ordinary characters can't match. Those sharp eyes that can penetrate emotions, and his unique understanding of the arcane arts. To master the arcane arts, he must first understand mana. Thinking of this, Julian begins to focus on sensing the mana elements in his heart. Now I occupy Julian's body. Even without memories, all his muscle memory must still remain in this body. As long as I can awaken these, mastering the arcane arts won't be difficult. Of course, using mana carries risks. If he's not careful and the mana flows backward instead of into the mana nodes, it could directly damage major organs, including the brain. There are 38 mana channels in the body, 6 major channels like river mainstreams, and 32 minor channels like small brooks. But there's no time to worry about that now. Fortune favors the bold. He takes a deep breath and channels mana into the major channels. The strange sensation of surging mana is unprecedented. He grips the sword with both hands, conducting mana throughout his body. The resistance far exceeds his imagination, and burning pain courses through his entire body. Moments later, he slowly opens his eyes. The first thing he sees is the blade emanating a clear blue light. Is this Julian's Moonlight Sword? I did it. Though it's only a minor success and can't compare to the real Moonlight Sword, at least it proves he can use it. And this is only the first day. Without any slack, the next day, he runs to the training ground to adapt to this new skill. Soon he reaches the level of an Imperial Knight, but before he can celebrate, he's notified to go to the palace to report the competition results. Given Julian's personality, he definitely wouldn't go personally. But fearing the Council of Elders might tamper with things, he decides to go himself. This terrifies Lancelot, who came to deliver the message. Soon, the two arrive at the palace of the Adelatan Empire. The Adelatan Empire is one of the 3 great powers on the continent, and the strongest of the 3. After sending off the anxious Lancelot, Julian is escorted by guards to the commander's office. Upon entering, he sees Commander Aldwin sitting in a chair. After some pleasantries, Aldwin feels Julian's personality is very different from before. Though incredible, she doesn't dwell on it. Julian dodges another bullet. So, were there any useful talents in the recruitment test? Returning to her seat, she puts on a serious expression and asks, "None? What about those skilled in swordsmanship?" "None." Hearing this, Aldwin's mouth gradually opens wider. She blames Julian for recruiting no one, completely disregarding the order's shortage of personnel. To cover up the truth, Julian claims the candidates were all a rabble. Recruiting them would be useless and a pure waste of time. He then hands over a report. These are the problems discovered in this recruitment test, along with some improvement proposals. Aldwin takes the letter and begins reading. The general meaning is that the Closed Eyes Order bears no responsibility for any accidents during recruitment tests. So when they heard Julian say he would kill them, they were scared into withdrawing on the spot. After reading, Aldwin says she'll report to her superiors indicators but doesn't guarantee results. She also informs him there's a letter from the Secretariat in his temporary office. After seeing Julian off, Aldwin falls into thought, flipping through the documents with interest. This new regulation literally means instructors bear no responsibility for incidents during recruitment tests. Even if lives are lost, they can be acquitted under royal protection. But even so, the nature of the recruitment test won't change. Most who apply to join the Closed Eyes Order are politically neutral fallen nobles and commoners. They have no power. Suppressing such people's dissatisfaction is easy. Julian should understand this. So the true purpose of this reform proposal likely points elsewhere. Aldwin closes her eyes to organize her thoughts. Why would someone who usually has no interest in regulations suddenly submit such a document? Then she suddenly remembers something about a certain conspiracy in the recruitment test. The Council of Elders colluded with the Toss family to tamper with this test. She knows a little about this. Holding the position of commander of the Royal Closed Eyes Order, even if she doesn't want to hear it, all kinds of news automatically reaches her ears. Realizing this, she suddenly understands. It's a warning. Yes, this is a warning. A warning from Julian to the Toss family and the Council of Elders. It's like saying, I've seen through your schemes. If you dare do it again, I won't let you off easily like this time. Thinking this, she immediately calls someone to submit the letter. It seems after that serious injury, he's completely changed. Is the royal lapdog trying to establish his own identity? This is terrifying. Need to keep a close eye on him. Soon, Julian returns to his office. He picks up the letter from the Secretariat. The content is roughly about escorting a mage to repair resonance stones. This is a rare training opportunity. Though there's a risk of encountering demons, it's a problem to solve sooner or later. This is a perfect chance to test this incomplete moonlight sword. Moreover, this is a good opportunity to publicly announce that Julian is working for the Closed Eyes Order again. This mission even has a night order accompanying them. With such a sense of security, there's no reason to refuse. But what he doesn't know is, the mage he's escorting will be the last person he wants to see. Soon, Julian rides to the repair area, ready to depart. As soon as he arrives, two knights approach. Thank you for your hard work, Lord Julian. I'm Perrin Terrend, member of the Blue Lion Knights. I'm Heinrich, also a member of the Knights. The two knights bow respectfully. But contrary to their respectful words and gestures, the wariness in their eyes is obvious. The negative emotions displayed are also purple. That's fear of me. Although it's not too far to the Julin district, there's no guarantee what might happen. So please be careful, knights. Understood. The two swallow an answer. Lord Julian, would you like to take a carriage to the Julin district? A carriage? Yes. Knight Perrin nods. A carriage is more comfortable than riding, right? The journey is long. Riding in a carriage would be more comfortable. Though he agrees verbally, he's well aware that Julian isn't excellent enough to warrant such care. There's definitely something fishy here. Alright, let's do that. Though he sees through the intention, he readily agrees. Good. Then when Mage Eileen arrives, we'll notify her. Who? Julian freezes immediately upon hearing. But speak of the devil. Eileen is already waving from a distance, but when she gets closer, both freeze in awkwardness. Julian turns and walks away. Forget I said anything about the carriage. Hearing this, the two knights feel uneasy. Does he know that having him ride in the carriage was to monitor him? Perrin's gaze becomes sharp. Meanwhile, Eileen looks embarrassed, not knowing why she's encountering Julian here, or why he runs when he sees her, and Julian has no idea about his relationship with Eileen or what happened between them. He just feels it's too dangerous to be around someone whose thoughts he can't read. And Eileen will definitely be riding in the carriage. So I can only ride on horseback, avoid Eileen as much as possible, and complete the mission quickly to return. Soon, the group arrives at a small tower storing resonance stones. Eileen begins inspecting the resonance stone that needs repair. The inspection reveals the resonance stone's cracks are too severe. It can't be repaired, only replaced. But once it's replaced, the barrier here will disappear. Without the barrier, demons will attack. Seeing the administrator's face turn grim, Eileen smiles reassuringly. Don't worry, trust me. It won't take too long. With that, Eileen rolls up her sleeves and gets to work. Before long, the replacement is ready. So Eileen takes advantage of this brief moment to get some fresh air. As soon as she steps out, she encounters Julian patrolling outside. Hearing it's Eileen, Julian turns and runs. Seeing this, Eileen grabs his cloak. Why do you keep avoiding me? I'm not. You're the one following me. Eileen is left speechless by his retort, but thinking about being called a stalker, she becomes furious. Who are you calling a stalker? Just as they're arguing heatedly, they suddenly sense a terrifying murderous intent approaching. Looking closely, three demons appear nearby. This is what you get for always avoiding me. Eileen angrily punches him. I wanted to tell you that the barrier here was open for repairs. Happy now? As soon as she finishes speaking, a blue lion knight warrior is sent flying toward them. Julian immediately senses something wrong. How can ordinary demons have such strong attack power? Turning his head, a double-horned humanoid demon appears. Damn! It's a double-horned demon. Each demon's combat power varies. They're usually classified by the number of horns on their head or body. No horns means hornless, one horn is single-horned, two horns is double-horned, and so on. The more horns, the stronger the individual. Why? Why do demons appear at this exact time? This means if the resonance stone repair had been delayed any longer, something terrible would have happened. Fortunately, someone can handle this chaotic situation. The demons are just hornless and single-horned anyway. Soldiers, support the mage. The trained soldiers immediately rally into action. They form ranks, each raising their weapons toward the direction the demons are attacking from. Replacing the resonance stone will take about 10 more minutes. We just need to hold out until the repair is complete. In my estimation, holding our position is wise wiser than attacking proactively. As long as we hold until the resonance stone is repaired, the barrier will be restored. Single-horned and lower demons will be unable to maintain their forms and will dissipate. It's about time I step in personally. The swordsmanship I practiced on training dummies at home, it's time to put it into practice here. Thinking about unleashing Julian's powerful sword techniques in real combat, Julian feels extremely excited. Suddenly, a needle-like sharp killing intent strikes. Eileen looks up to see a beast-formed demon tearing through the sky, lunging at her like an arrow. Oh no! It targeted the moment when the barrier's power weakened. This means the demon has considerable intelligence. Watching the demon approach, Eileen unconsciously closes her eyes tightly. However, the expected pain doesn't come. When she trembles and opens her eyes, that man she despises so much is standing in front of her. This royal sword that has executed countless nobles and commoners is now, at this critical moment, protecting her. What are you doing? Is this all a Balgo rank mage can do? Have you even forgotten what you're supposed to be doing? Only then does Eileen remember what she temporarily forgot. Quickly bring the mana conduits and new resonance stone over here. I need to restart the resonance stone repair work. Watching Eileen run toward the repair room, Julian can finally focus on dealing with this double-horned demon. He looks up at the double-horned demon staring at him from nearby. Can I do this? Actually, I don't necessarily have to eliminate it. As long as Eileen successfully repairs the resonance stone, this crisis will be resolved. But replacing the resonance stone requires at least 7 minutes. In other words, I need to keep that monster, which can instantly kill even exceptional knights, occupied for over 7 minutes. There's no other choice. Let's do this. No sooner said than done. The demon's giant hand already strikes. Julian grips his sword hilt tightly, blocking the demon's claws while being sent flying. I didn't expect to be able to handle that strike so smoothly. He again truly experiences Julian's monster-level physical abilities far beyond ordinary people. But relying on this incomplete moonlight sword is far from enough. The moment he thinks this, with a shield's clang, Julian is sent flying through the air, then coughs up a large mouthful of blood. That thing hit his abdomen with 4 feet. Before he can think, accompanied by a tearing roar, the double-horned demon launches another fierce pursuit. There's no time to react. He just swings his sword, following bodily instinct. Julian knows that continuing like this means certain defeat. He concentrates and channels mana into his sword. Then Julian's signature technique manifests. The moonlight sword's glow begins to appear. The moment he delivers an upward vertical slash to the double-horned demon, viscous blood-like fluid spurts from the creature. With each step closer, the emotional color emanating from it grows more intense. Finally, purple light envelops its entire body. After its protective instinct triggers, the double-horned demon kicks off the ground and pounces. And this is the opportunity. Unlike before, prey consumed by fear is not worth fearing. When his mind is clear, Julian gains the new trait, penetrating vision. He then shows a wicked smile. Let's end this. A moonlight-colored lightning suddenly manifests. The double-horned demon's body is instantly split in two. In an instant, the fierce battle just now seems like an illusion. The watching soldiers and knights all stare at him with shocked eyes. At the same time, good news comes from Eileen's side. Resonance stone charging complete, the barrier will restart soon. When Eileen completes the resonance stone repair and the commanding double-horned demon is slain, the remaining minions begin fleeing outside the barrier. We're saved! We survived! The soldiers all breathe sighs of relief, while secretly glancing at Julian. Their eyes no longer hold fear of the smiling executioner's notorious reputation, but are filled with respect and gratitude for the hero who saved everyone in crisis. Thank you for your hard work, Lord Julian. Perrin's gaze is completely different from when they left the capital. I'll leave the aftermath to you, Lord Perrin. I'm not familiar with these matters. Thank you. Then I should go wipe the blood off my sword. I found a nice lake before coming here. With that, Julian walks toward the lake. Looking at the reflection of his closed-eyed face in the lake, Julian can't help but sigh. I thought I was dead, or more accurately, close to death. My first encounter with a demon, and it turned out to be a double-horn level monster. Anyway, surviving is a blessing. Recalling what happened still feels surreal. Real combat is bloodier than I imagined. Though I'm gradually adapting to this body, I'm still not fully familiar with the stat panel's contents. Trait, Insight Level 1. You possess excellent vision, can easily discover targets' weak points, more easily detect opponents' emotional fluctuations, and can deal extra damage to enemies harboring fear. That final strike that ended the double-horned demon's life, the sword path trajectory I captured the instant before striking, this must be insight. It seems my knowledge combined with Julian's experience has formed this trait that can see through opponents' weaknesses. Thinking this, he draws his sword. The blade is covered with fine web-like cracks. This should be cracking caused by channeling excessive mana at once. A few more strikes and it will definitely shatter completely. Both in power and stability, it still doesn't reach the original standard. What I've learned through this real combat isn't just fighting methods. I've also found direction on how to perfect this incomplete moonlight sword. Meanwhile, at the Council of Elders, Herland, the third son of the Clyfert family, one of the Empire's 4 great houses, he swallows nervously, enduring the sinister glares from all directions. So that brat has caught on to our plans. If it weren't for the current family head's bloodline, a worthless piece of trash like you would have been cast out long ago. Lord Orin. The Closed Eyes Order recently submitted a proposal to the Royal Secretariat. What is it? They're saying that from now on, during entry tests for the Order, instructors will no longer be held accountable. They've added that even if casualties occur, any attempts at accountability will be strictly forbidden forbidden, in the name of the royal family. The moment those words fall, Oren slams his fist on the table in fury. That means supporting Julian's position. A mere lapdog of the royal family dares to issue warnings. But Lord Oren, this might actually be an opportunity. A middle-aged man suddenly interjects. What do you mean? Julian, who has always only followed royal orders, is now issuing warnings. This means he's now thinking and acting independently. It's a variable, but also an opportunity. So observe for now? You want us to just stand by and watch? It's just my speculation, but this could be more useful than exiling Julian to the northern front. Then we'll do that for now. With that, the council meeting adjourns. On the other side, having finished the Resonance Stone Guard mission, Julian wants nothing more than to collapse and rest for an entire day. After all, he's exhausted far too much mana in one go. But there's no time to rest. Julian begins pondering in his mind how to perfect his signature Moonlight Sword. While it performed excellently against the double-horned demon, this alone is far from enough. After all, only part of the blade, not the whole, can release the aura. That's why the sword couldn't withstand it. Then his attention turns to the gemstones on the table. These were sent over by the royal family through Lazlot. The mana affinity flowing within each person is different. Lazlot nods. As he speaks, he reaches into his pocket, pulling out a notebook and pen to start recording. That's why each mage excels at different magic, and each knight's aura abilities and colors vary. Lazlot continues nodding and recording. Speaking, he takes out a gemstone. All things in the world possess the ability to contain mana. Among them, these types of gemstones have the highest mana conductivity and capacity. When mana is injected, the ruby's color becomes increasingly vivid. I see. But if it clashes with one's own mana affinity, it becomes like this. Cracks begin appearing on the surface of the mana-infused ruby. Witnessing the cracks, Lazlot can't help but sigh, showing both shock and regret. So mages call mana affinity elements and distinguish them with 5 colors. This allows for a clearer understanding of mana characteristics. If you understand, return all these gemstones to the treasury. What about this shattered ruby? Just toss it. Wait, there's one more thing. The Royal Secretariat requests your presence. They say they need to hear the mission report in person. As he follows the staff member toward the waiting room, a sword sheath in the corner catches my eye. Perhaps it belongs to a visitor's companion. There's a visitor who arrived earlier than me, but it still looks very familiar. When I pick up the sheath, that strange sense of déjà vu tugging at my memory grows stronger. A strong body houses a strong spirit. After reading the inscription on the edge of the sheath, I finally understand what has been bothering me. Release that sword immediately, you fallen one. A sinister voice suddenly comes from behind, that tone filled with hostility. This is definitely not a secretary or staff member's voice. At this moment, there's no need to turn around to know who owns that voice. The moment I turn to confirm, cascading golden hair flowing to her waist and emerald eyes. Even though displeasure congeals in those eyes, it doesn't diminish her captivating beauty. It's been a while. Linnea Lundbell, the daughter of the Lundbell family, a prestigious knight household of the Adlatan Empire. She and Julian are both disciples of Sword Saint Heidenreich. She's also a main character who dies at Julian's hands in the game's trailer. There are many words to describe Linnea Lundbell as a character, but if I could only choose one, it would be breathtaking beauty. Linnea's appearance is absolutely stunning. The elegance flowing around her easily captivates men's hearts. As a loyal follower of the player's protagonist, Heidenreich, she consistently ranks at the top in popularity polls. Unexpectedly, seeing her in person is even more stunning. If I weren't Julian, I probably couldn't help but want to get close to her. But that's obviously impossible. After all, Julian is the disciple who turned against his master. Why is he here today? Could the person the Secretariat is looking for be him? Skip the pleasantries. Return the master's sword. Linnea shows a disgusted expression, gesturing for the sword. The master visited the palace, didn't he? What's that to you? Just asking. After all, Master Haydn was once my teacher too. Finishing, Julian returns the sheath to Linnea. Then he sits down, waiting to be summoned. He can see Linnea flushed crimson all over. That represents anger. Though later records state she will grow into an outstanding figure surpassing Julian, right now she's ultimately just an inexperienced girl. Lady Linnea Lundbell, Master Heidenreich summons you. The silent atmosphere is broken by a Secretariat staff member. Linnea stands up holding the sheath. Her eagerness to leave makes it seem like staying even one more second would be unbearable. But upon entering the Secretariat, Master Haydn is nowhere to be seen. Only the Secretary General is there. It's said that Master Haydn assigned them both a mission in the slums and left early. Clearly, the Royal Secretary General's personal summons wasn't just for a mission report. It was also to personally assess Julian's condition. So the mission report was merely a cover. After finishing his business, Julian leaves the palace for the capital. After all, now is the perfect time to complete the Moonlight Sword. Taking this opportunity to forge a proper weapon, embedding gemstones in the blade and engraving mana circuits, is clearly the most effective method right now. Of course, not just any gemstone will do. He needs moonstone, and moonstones are generally handled by jewelers. Soon, Julian arrives at a jewelry shop. I want to purchase moonstone. The jeweler looks troubled. Our shop doesn't carry moonstone. Is that so? Julian's expression turns fierce. The shopkeeper trembles all over in fear. But I'll find a way to get some. It'll be difficult, but I'll do my best. After leaving the jewelry shop, Julian begins pondering the mission. A demon has appeared in the capital's slums. Orders from above demand an investigation. After the actual investigation, it will only end as an unsolved case, especially since the incident location is the slums, a place the royal family wouldn't bother with at all. The slums slums are like remnants left behind after the empire forcibly annexed other nations. Those people don't follow the empire's mainstream culture and religion. Even their races are different. After being forbidden from entering the capital, they gathered to form the slums to the east. If the royal family dared to interfere with the slums, there would be huge backlash. Besides, they never had such intentions anyway. Then why exactly? Is Haydn planning to let Linnea gain experience? Ever since severing ties with Julian, he appointed Linnea as his personal disciple and has been training her with full dedication. Soon they set off to investigate. While confirming the location marked on the mission order, Linnea suddenly rushes past Julian to the front. But that direction is clearly wrong. Miss Linnea, not that way. She stops and stares straight at me. Her suspicious expression is obvious. Then why does this sign exist? It's more reliable than what some outsider says. I'm not like you. I can't act on my own wishes like you do. I'm going to become the next sword saint. Before she finishes speaking, Linnea has already started walking forward. Julian knows that no matter how much he says, she won't believe him. Anyway, the left path is the correct route. This eastern slum district is the wall of size that Demon King Slayer players would eventually have to face. Its maze-like paths cause countless players to give up here. Of course, for a veteran player like me, this place is as familiar as the lines on my palm. Watching Linnea's retreating figure, Julian runs his hand through his hair, then slowly follows her steps. But before long, Linnea realizes something is wrong. The actual layout here is completely different from the map. The destination is District 034A. The current location is District 031A. Just a bit further ahead should reveal the destination, District 034A. But the next sign that appears reads 011 degrees Celsius. By sequence, District 032 should have appeared. The facts prove Julian was right. I told you. Because of illegal expansions, the signs in this slum district don't serve their purpose at all, Julian says from behind. Though his tone is no different than usual, in this situation, it sounds even more infuriating than normal. Mind your own business. If you know so much, why don't you go on your own instead of following me? She fires off in rapid succession, then continues forward. But the signs that keep appearing not only fail to bring them closer to District 034A, they actually lead them further away. What the hell? Back at the starting point, Linnea stamps her feet in frustration. Throughout this, Julian remains following behind. At this rate, they might not reach their destination today. Thinking this, Linnea sneaks a glance at Julian behind her. From his tone, he seems familiar with the terrain here. If she admits she's wrong and quietly follows behind, maybe they could reach their destination. No, I can't swallow my pride. But this would disgrace the master's only disciple, especially to that traitor. She'd rather die than back down. Julian, he's an unparalleled genius, even Sword Saint Heidenreich acknowledged, though she's reluctant to admit it. Just watching his footwork reveals much. Clean steps with no wasted movement, perfect breathing rhythm, that terrifying killing intent surging forth. Anyone who practices the sword can tell at a glance. This isn't learned through training, but innate. Because of this, Linnea is always compared to Julian. If it were him, he'd definitely manage it. If it were him, then it's only natural. These drifting thoughts constantly loop endlessly in Linnea's mind. Lost? At this moment, a shabby and disheveled man suddenly speaks up. I see you've been going in circles. This is your first time here, isn't it? Do you know the layout of this area? I can show you around, if you'll buy me a drink. No problem. Linnea understands that in this harsh world, there's no kindness without expectation of return, nor charity without reason. My name is Baden. And you, miss? I'm Linnea. Upon hearing this, Baden beams with delight inside. Looks like I've caught a big fish. Julian beside them is about to introduce himself, but Baden turns and walks away. I don't care about the guy's name. Just follow me. Baden. I feel like I've heard that name somewhere. Soon, under Baden's guidance, they arrive at a tavern. Barkeep, 1 drink each. Seeing they're from the capital, the bartender deliberately inflates the price. 30 nar each. Seeing Linnea's blank expression, Baden hastily explains. Drinks in the slum district are generally more expensive. What? Only 30 nar? That's so cheap. Linnea pulls out a bag of gold. Baden looks incredulous. As expected, a noble's only daughter is different, so he finds the bartender, telling him to prepare some drugged drinks. They're going to pull off something big. Soon the specially prepared drinks are brought out. Watching Linnea bringing the glass close to her lips, Baden's grin reaches ear to ear. Suddenly a hand cuts in and snatches Linnea's glass. Has this drink been tampered with? What are you talking about? Baden panics, putting on a fierce expression. If there's no problem, then you drink it, or I'll make you drink it. Julian's face radiates killing intent, so intense it's terrifying. Stop it, Julian. What are you doing? Hearing the man's name, Baden instantly freezes like a corpse. Did he just say Julian? Baden, how did you bring this royal lapdog here? What do we do now? The bartender panics. As the royal lapdog, the vicious demon who slays nobles and commoners without distinction, no one in the empire doesn't know his fearsome reputation. It's fine, Baden answers, forcing himself to stay calm. I have bodyguards in the bar. 3 bodyguards lying in ambush nearby emerge. What an annoying bastard. A bodyguard carrying a dagger speaks first. Finishing listening, Julian crushes the glass in his hand. Are you done talking? Want to attack me? Hearing this, one bald bodyguard charges charges forward with his blade, but Julian catches him by the throat with one hand. The bodyguard behind tries to sneak attack. Julian turns and knocks him down with one punch. Several men are suppressed by Julian's overwhelming presence alone, unable to move. Linnea beside them grips her sword, still not knowing what happened. Who are these people anyway? Who cares? Beat them first, ask questions later. Finishing, Julian picks up a glass shard and presses it against Baden's throat. So, surrender or death? If you surrender, I won't kill you. Already terrified out of his wits, Baden doesn't hesitate for a moment, choosing surrender and agreeing to help guide them. He also provides some intelligence. Having experienced society's dark side firsthand, Linnea realizes her severe lack of experience. In her previous education, she never encountered people like this. Linnea looks somewhat dejected. How did you know Baden put something in the drinks? That's what you're curious about? Julian shows slight disdain. Yes, please tell me. Because before entering the bar, I sensed killing intent through mana perception. All life, all things, all phenomena. Mana dwells within everything in existence, and mana reacts strongly to other mana. Spread stable mana around your surroundings. This way you can confirm where others are hiding, like a bat's echolocation. Julian watches her murmuring to herself and secretly smiles. Actually, this method is commonly used by mages, and Julian can only do this so easily because of his overflowing massive mana reserves. Originally, knights relied on unique intuition or sensing auras to locate hidden enemies, but right now he's not Julian at full strength, so he must use this method to compensate. But just now, what you asked that man about wasn't the incident on Road 034, but the living conditions. Why is that? Linnea asks with doubt. What we're investigating is whether demons have appeared on Road 034A. What does who lives here have to do with it? Of course it's related. Seeing Julian's calm smile, she frowns instead. How much do you know about demonification? Do you think I'm an idiot? Isn't it just when demon god Barbados' lingering will parasitize as a non-human organism that individual becomes a demon? Who says humans can't undergo demonification? Just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's simply an extremely rare occurrence. Linnea listens in stunned disbelief. What are you trying to say? Julian continues. Even if it's the slums, this place is adjacent to the capital paved with resonant stones. If demons naturally appeared here, that would be too far-fetched. Small animals are also limited by their size and difficult to grow. According to what you're saying, it's neither naturally occurring nor parasitic. Could it be the slums lack suitable demon hosts? How could that be? Isn't the ground full of hosts? At this moment, Linnea's eyes fill with confusion. So you're saying the people here are all humans undergoing demonification? Absurd. Simply absurd. Even so, what does this have to do with living conditions? Humans beginning demonification will run high fevers. In the past week, 3 households purchased fever reducers. We just need to check these places. Can be done in one day. Linnea pursues indignantly. What if you're wrong? If I'm wrong, starting tomorrow we'll split up and do things your way, Miss Linnea. What a troublesome young lady. The first 2 households yield nothing. On the way to the 3rd house, Linnea suddenly speaks with a pleased tone. The last one. She's undoubtedly feeling smug that her claim about humans being unable to demonify is about to be proven right. But as stated before, all organisms can become demonification targets. Humans are simply less likely compared to other creatures. That's it over there, right? Linnea points to a residence in the distance. As the distance closes, an increasingly strong smell becomes noticeable. It's the same scent from the Resonance Stone Guard mission before. The bloody smell mixed with demon stench. Soon they knock on the door of the last household. No one inside responds, just as they prepare to knock again. Accompanied by the sound of wood scraping, the door slowly opens. Opening it is an elderly woman with white hair. She has no horns nor the characteristic mucus of demons, and clearly retains her sanity, clearly unrelated to demonification. However, the old woman's hesitant gaze and stuttering tone indicate something suspicious inside. We're from the royal family's exclusive organization, the Closed Eyes Order. The Closed Eyes Order? Confusion appears in the old woman's eyes, quickly turning to hostility. Get out! Get out of my house right now! The old woman violently tries to shut the door. Julian grabs the door's edge with one hand, then pulls hard. The door is easily torn open. Linnea beside them watches, her jaw nearly dropping. You should at least explain to her. You're too kind, Miss Linnea. That will be your downfall. We're here to investigate, not to disturb the people. Do you think the Empire wants this kind of coercion? The Empire only cares about results. They don't care what methods you use. Finishing, Julian looks at the tableware on the table. You were just eating. But according to residential committee data, the household members are 1 elderly person and their young son. Yet the amount of food here is for 3 people. You have guests today? An ordinary person in the demonification process cannot resist the impulses from the demon god's lingering death will. If the old woman before them is fine, then the unseen son is highly suspicious. That a demon exists in this house is beyond doubt. There's still a medicinal smell lingering in this food. This is to drug guests, then feed them as fodder to the demon locked in the room. No way. After hearing this, panic and disbelief surface on Linnea's face. The old woman also panics and rushes toward the locked door. She frantically frantically pulls out a key from her pocket to unlock it. "Run, son! Get out of here quickly!" However, from the open door, a grotesque maw suddenly extends and instantly crushes the old woman's skull. Faced with such a gruesome scene, Linnea can't speak, but Julian beside her remains unusually calm. Just like during the previous battle with the double-horned demon, Julian's character instincts allow him to stay composed even in such situations. The demon covered in blood, a single sharp horn slowly growing from its head. Linnea swiftly draws her sword from its sheath. After confirming there's only one horn, she lunges and swings her sword, but anyone can see her body is stiff, presumably panicked by the demon's sudden appearance. The next second, the demon's wildly swinging arm strikes Linnea hard. Witnessing the sword aura gradually dispersing from her blade, Julian recalls Linnea Lundbell's fatal character flaw. Her mana consumption is greater than normal people's, but she herself doesn't know this. At this rate, she'll be in danger. If casualties occur during the mission, especially if the Sword Saint S disciple is injured, it will certainly attract everyone's attention. For me, it's also a troublesome problem. I, who must perfectly play Julian's role, cannot arouse the slightest suspicion. So Julian steps in front of Linnea. Seeing this, Linnea says firmly she doesn't need help. "You can't get hurt. I don't want to get caught up in unnecessary rumors. Besides, this is my job too." When the demon lunges at Linnea again, Julian activates the trait insight. Then comes a fluid series of sword techniques. At this moment, the demon's body is already riddled with holes like torn cloth. With a desperate resolve, the demon already launches an attack on Linnea. What? He's recovered? Julian watches Linnea being attacked and urgently shouts in panic, "Get back! I need to strike again!" But Linnea, caught in close combat with the demon, simply cannot break free. In her panic, she grabs a plate from the table and slams it into the demon's face. The soup from the plate happens to block the demon's eyes. Julian seizes the opportunity. He concentrates mana into his sword. But just as he's gathering power, Linnea is caught and gripped in the demon's hand again. Watching Linnea coughing up blood, Julian's fury reaches its peak. Mana floods through his entire body, his eyes filled with killing intent. Seeing the chance, he drives his sword straight through the demon's chest. Linnea also breaks free from its grasp the instant the demon loses strength, leaping away. Soon the demon collapses to the ground, dead from excessive blood loss. Watching Julian kill the demon without using the Moonlight Sword, Linnea looks at him like he's a madman. "If you'd used the Moonlight Sword, you could have finished it in one strike. Why didn't you?" "Because this way is more interesting." As expected, this guy really is a madman. After the slum mission ends, they return to the capital. "Take all the reward for this mission. After all, I did nothing." Linnea stops and speaks with difficulty. Julian turns to look at Linnea. Though their eyes meet, emotions can never be read from his face. Eyes narrowed as usual in that iron mask of a face. "Don't say things like that, Miss Linnea. We're fellow disciples. I hate you." Linnea deliberately states it aloud. Many people dislike Julian, but almost none say it so bluntly. Of course, even facing such naked hostility, Julian remains unchanged. That's pretty direct, but it's quite unfortunate. The master said power comes with responsibility, but you use power without any sense of responsibility. Your restraint is terrible. No wonder the master drove you away. Recalling the overwhelming force he just displayed against the demon, Linnea's pent-up dissatisfaction resurfaces. Why act against the master's teachings? Why did you try to kill the master? Restraint is a virtue only cowards need. Are you saying the master is also a coward? Unable to tolerate insults to her master, Linnea clenches her fists tightly. Whether he notices her anger or not, Julian continues speaking calmly. "Miss Linnea is truly naive about the world. Some people are destined to live lives without restraint. Not everyone lives the strictly disciplined, noble life. Such people actually constitute the majority in this world. Anyway, thank you for your hard work today. Thanks for sharing this mission's reward with me." With a brief laugh, Julian finishes speaking and walks toward the palace. Watching his receding figure, Linnea furrows her brow. A life without restraint. Thinking according to the master's teachings, this is completely incomprehensible. Linnea's mind is in turmoil. Going back? A greeting breaks her thoughts at this moment. The man on the carriage gazes at Linnea. "Uncle Elgin. This member of the Lundbell family is her father's younger brother. If you're heading to the estate, I'll give you a ride. Come aboard." Having no choice, Linnea enters the carriage. Just finished with Master Haydn's assignment? Did everything go smoothly? Just as she's about to answer yes, Linnea suddenly realizes she did nothing during this mission. Though the outcome was acceptable, honestly admitting it feels embarrassing. It was alright, I suppose. That's good. Master Haydn certainly didn't misjudge your talent. But don't push yourself too hard. Elgin looks at Linnea with concern. "By the way, the man who was with you earlier, that wouldn't be Julian, would it? Recently, because of his movements, the Council of Elders has been on edge. I heard the Secretariat even submitted a review case, pressuring the Council. Among the Empire's nobility, it's hard to find anyone not interested in Julian. As a noble, it's not strange for Elgin to have such questions. That notorious royal lapdog. His rise and fall are focal points for those in power and topics eagerly discussed by gossip mongers. Moreover, being a royal lapdog while born into nobility makes him impossible to ignore. ignore, despite being a noble pressuring the Council of Elders. Truly an incomprehensible man. But what requires the most caution is Julian himself. Elgin grasps Linnea's hand and continues with a worried voice. No matter the reason, don't get close to him. That man is an extremely dangerous figure. There's no such thing as camaraderie with him. He doesn't consider interpersonal relationships at all. As nobles, he's someone we must avoid. I understand, uncle, but he really is powerful. Perfect swordsmanship, calm even in critical moments. The restraint of not abusing power and precisely allocating force matches quite well with her ideal swordsmanship. The vision to accurately strike a demon's vital points without using aura, and the physical ability to execute such moves. He's strong, much stronger than me. Meanwhile, Julian arrives at the commander's office to report on his mission to Commander Aldwin. What exactly did you do? Aldwin seems furious. May I ask what happened? Various thoughts flash through Julian's mind. Did I make some mistake? Come to think of it, Aldwin had previously grown suspicious of his way of speaking. Didn't you go to the slums to confirm the rumors about demon sightings? That's right, I confirmed they were true. But why would a criminal turn himself in, and specifically mention your name? At first, Julian has no idea what Aldwin is talking about. But upon hearing this, he instantly realizes it's about Baden from the slums. He did tell Baden to turn himself in, but never expected him to actually do it. Perhaps he became aware of his crimes and came to repent. As for why he mentioned my name, I have no idea. Aldwin says nothing after hearing this, but still casts a suspicious glance at Julian and sighs. He then hands over a document. This is your operational allowance, including bonuses for completing 2 missions this time. Operational allowance is basically his salary. Looking at the salary breakdown, Julian can't stop grinning. 11,000 nar. Upon closer inspection, the closed eyes order's regular salary isn't that high. This means he's earning such a hefty sum thanks to completing 2 missions recently. Plus, Linnea gave him her entire share for this mission. Facing this massive paycheck, Julian unconsciously mutters to himself. Aldwin nods as well. It's a bit less than usual. After all, you took many days off this month due to injury. Hearing this, Julian smiles bitterly to himself. So normally, he earns even more. Julian really isn't an ordinary person. Being the royal family's lapdog isn't a position just anyone can fill. But he suddenly notices a section marked with negative numbers, scribbled hastily. It lists salary deduction items, estate management fee, servants' monthly wages. Okay, these he can understand. The amounts aren't too large. Imperial Arts Association membership maintenance fee, magazine subscription fee. Fine, these are barely acceptable too. He already knew Julian loved art and would throw money at it, but this subscription fee is outrageous. Installment payments from master painter Crucius's Eid Universe collection? This fool has completely lost it. That's why the deduction details on the payslip show astronomical figures. And then the final line. Net salary equals 900 nar. For a nobleman like Julian, what remains is absurdly little. Does this guy even have any savings? Julian closes his eyes, picturing the estate filled with useless antiques. The living room, bedroom, even the study, all crammed with artwork. This fool didn't save a single penny. He still needs to pick up the custom-made moonstone from the jeweler later. How can he do that without money? He has no choice but to look for solutions through missions. Commander Aldwin, are there any new missions? A flash of confusion crosses Aldwin's eyes. This is the first time I've heard you ask proactively. Unfortunately, there aren't any. Hearing this, Julian sighs inwardly. The Empire's smiling executioner, the demon with the branding iron mask, the Sword Saint's former first disciple, Julian Clayford Plathon, a man bearing countless titles, both glorious and infamous, yet he has zero savings? It's truly unimaginable. I've told you many times not to buy so many luxury items, but if you're short on cash, you can sell your painting collection. Aldwin gloats mockingly. One phrase awakens him from his daze. That's exactly what he'll do. Thank you for the reminder. Hearing Julian's words, Aldwin looks somewhat incredulous. After all, Julian treasured his paintings like his own life. I'll sell them all. With that, he leaves the office, leaving behind a completely stunned Aldwin. This guy must be desperate for money. Meanwhile, members of the noble council of elders begin discussing Julian. That monster defeated a demon without even using the moonlight sword. He's as dangerous as a wild horse out of control. Ejinrine of the council remarks with emotion. I understand. Odin smiles wickedly. At this moment, a servant approaches. He then sees Ejinrine out. It seems the council members don't have high hopes for Julian either. He really defeated a demon without using the moonlight sword? Yes. Then he truly is a monster. Shall I proceed according to plan? Yes. He will eventually become one of my assets. Soon, Julian arrives at the art gallery. Welcome, Lord Julian. I am Felso, an appraiser at Eid Cosmos Art Gallery. Hello. Then let's first take a look at the item you wish to have appraised. The two quickly arrive at an item covered by canvas. As the cloth is lifted, an oil painting is revealed. Seeing the painting, the appraiser can't hide his smile. He begins examining the artwork closely, even taking out a magnifying glass for a detailed look. Several minutes later, the appraiser shows an awkward smile. I'm very sorry, this is a forgery. He should have brought a different one. He thought since it hung at the estate entrance, it would be a high-quality artwork. Apparently not. However, a forgery this similar is something I'm seeing for the first time. I'd like to purchase it. How does 1,000 nar sound? Fortunately, the appraiser expresses interest in buying it, and the price seems reasonably fair. But to purchase the moonstone, this is nowhere near enough. Lord Julian, please wait a moment. I'll go get the contract. After speaking Speaking, the appraiser heads toward the back of the gallery. Julian quietly gazes at the painting. How did this guy end up collecting a forgery? Isn't this a work by Crucius Vincent? Eileen suddenly appears. This startles the appraiser nearby. What did you just say? Eileen points her fingertip at the painting before them. Doesn't the bottom of the painting have Crucius Vincent's signature? This is authentic. Hearing this, the appraiser is already sweating profusely. Julian's murderous intent beside him can barely be contained. You dare deceive me? The appraiser is so frightened by this scene that he collapses to the ground, his entire body enveloped in a purple aura of fear. But just as Julian is about to punish him, Eileen stops him. No appraiser can be 100% accurate. An occasional misjudgment is only human. Hearing this, Julian snaps back to reality with an awkward smile. He almost lost his composure in public. In that case, will the appraisal price change? I sincerely apologize, Lord Julian. If it's authentic, our gallery simply cannot afford to purchase it. Then how much is this painting actually worth? The ashen-faced appraiser cannot speak. I have no intention of holding you accountable for the mistake. I simply don't know how to handle this painting. How about I introduce you to someone? If it's a Crucius, I know a buyer who will take it without question. However, I have two conditions. First, you must not cause trouble for that appraiser. Second, help me with something, alright? I don't have any missions right now anyway. Pleasure doing business. Don't misunderstand. I'm not helping you out of kindness. You helped me replace the resonance stone last time. Consider this repaying the favor. So what do you need me to do? A night patrol guard at Vale Academy claims he was attacked by a ghost. The ghost story might be a rumor fabricated by students. At first, the faculty didn't take it seriously. Standing around that old building at midnight, strange sounds could always be heard. Moreover, attacks kept occurring one after another, with more and more guards getting injured. I think it's a demon, but theoretically, the academy has a barrier protecting it. There shouldn't be any demons. It's possible it snuck in when the barrier was weak. The barrier hasn't been very stable recently. Now fewer and fewer people are willing to stand guard. This must be resolved. So this is the person you brought for help? As they're discussing, a man interjects from the middle of the path. The newcomer is none other than Vale Academy's magic instructor and mage, Hadi Godfrey. Lord Julian, a pleasure to meet you. I didn't expect to encounter you in such a place. Soon Hadi turns his gaze back to Eileen. Speaking of which, Miss Eileen has gotten herself into quite a troublesome task. What troublesome task? This is my duty for the students. I've never considered it troublesome. True. In terms of lineage, Miss Eileen indeed has nothing to complain about. If you want to shed the label of branch family origins, you'll need to work very hard. The one who should work hard is you, Hadi. Eileen doesn't back down. Your last thesis barely passed, worse than branch family me. What? The man's face flushes red. Branch family trash shouldn't be employed at all. Know your place. But immediately, Julian steps forward from the side. He swiftly raises his blade. This terrifies the two beside him. Both close their eyes tightly. They don't dare breathe. The next second, a hole opens in the wall, glowing red from within. The two look up to see demon-possessed foot imps crawling out from the hole. Fortunately, Julian has quick reflexes. His blade flashes and the foot imps come crashing down. They land right on Hadi. Save me! I'm being crushed by demons! Hadi screams frantically. So, do you need branch family me to save you? Julian grins mischievously. Though you're quite cowardly. Look! Eileen suddenly points into the distance. Those foot imps are converging in one location, and they're quickly piling up. They transform into a massive demon. So this is its true form. Seeing this, Julian doesn't hesitate for a moment. He draws his blade and leaps forward. One strike, two strikes. The demon howls in pain from the beating. It even begins splitting apart to escape. Splitting means the individuals become smaller, and smaller individuals mean weaker strength. Julian knows this is a one-hit kill opportunity. With virtually no windup, the demon instantly becomes a pile of mush. After it's done, Eileen begins reinforcing the resonance stone barrier. How did you detect it? What, the demon's location? Even the resonance stone barrier detection didn't find it. How exactly did you discover it? Julian knows he definitely can't say he detected it by reading the ominous aura emanating from the demon. No one in this world knows about that game mechanic. It's a secret. Well, let's not talk about that for now. You just emphasized branch family bloodline to Hadi. Didn't you used to look down on branch families too? Julian looks confused. Yes, did you forget? You used to call me a Tussanane half-blood, but now you suddenly stand up for branch families. That's really strange. Everyone's afraid of you, so they don't dare speak up. But that rude attitude of yours is something I'm quite accustomed to. Well, whether mainline or branch family, we all share the same blood. I admit I spoke wrongly back then. Hearing this, Eileen's face turns bright red. Is this an apology? Thank you for helping me with such a big favor. Don't mention it, Julian says with narrowed eyes. Since you've fulfilled my request, I'll take you to meet that buyer now. Soon, with Eileen's introduction, Julian brings the painting to the buyer Alome. Upon seeing the painting, Alome excitedly stands up immediately. My goodness, I can actually see this masterpiece with my own eyes in my lifetime. He carefully examines the artwork, as if immersing himself in it. He then begins telling the story of the painting. This is the master painter's final work. Crucius, who painted this, once wrote to his younger brother, who had long supported him. He poured ultimate sorrow and loneliness into this painting. Yes, you're absolutely right. Julian responds with perfunctory agreement. Seeing Julian's such indifferent reaction, a hint of disappointment appears on Alome's face. Simultaneously, a faint mist appears above his head, denial aura indicating suspicion. Could there be something wrong with this painting? But judging from Eileen's assessment and Alome's reaction upon seeing the painting, this should be authentic. What exactly is he suspicious of? Do you truly understand this painting? To me, you're just in it for the money. I only need to pay a reasonable price to acquire it, but I prefer dealing with people who understand its value. So that's what he's suspicious of. Understanding the situation, Julian naturally knows what to do. Master Painter Crucius passes passed away shortly after creating this work. That's why this painting is priceless. Alom closes his eyes in contemplation for a few seconds. It seems Julian's words worked. The gray mist above his head has dissipated. I didn't expect you to have some insight into art. Crucius died at the very location depicted in the painting. Vice Principal Alom nods carefully. Then let's discuss the amount, Lord Julian. Upon hearing this, Julian eagerly nods. Then Alom gives a theatrical cough. How about this amount? Alom cautiously holds up 4 fingers. 40,000 nar? Even after buying the moonstone, there would be plenty left. Though higher than expected, it's still somewhat unsatisfying. Julian begins bargaining. This is a work that entered its golden age after the artist's death. You're absolutely right, Lord Julian. Alom gives an affirming look. No gray mist appears above his head. This is the final work Crucius left behind, a piece that brought closure to his troubled life. Then I'll add another 10,000. That's a total of 500,000 nar. How's that? 500,000 nar? He finally understands what the appraiser meant about not being able to afford it, even with the entire gallery. Julian swallows hard. Though somewhat unbelievable, Julian's characteristic facial control and smile manage to maintain his composure. Pleasure doing business. The scene shifts, and Eileen also arrives at Alom's place. Vice Principal Alom. As Eileen bows, Alom is examining the newly purchased painting. Ah, Eileen. I heard you dealt with the old building matter. You've worked hard, Professor Eileen. But what I'm about to tell you must remain confidential. This incident is very likely connected to the Dawn Society. The Dawn Society? Why would they target the Academy? The Dawn Society is a demon-worshipping organization that has recently emerged within the Empire. This hasn't been fully investigated yet, so we've decided to keep it confidential for now. But there's no need to worry too much. We've already strengthened the barrier. By the way, how did your discussion with Julian go? Very smoothly. Thanks to him, I was able to acquire the work I've been dreaming of. That's wonderful. Has Lord Julian already left? He hurried off as soon as he received the money. Said he was going to buy a whole bunch of moonstones. Upon hearing this, Eileen immediately stands up and turns to leave. It turns out Eileen's thesis submission to the Magic Tower this time requires moonstones. But when Eileen rushes to the jewelry store, the owner tells her there isn't a single one left. Hearing that not a single moonstone remains, Eileen feels like the sky is falling. This means her thesis is ruined. Meanwhile, Julian, having purchased the moonstones, soon arrives at the blacksmith shop. He wants to forge a sword capable of withstanding the moonlight power. The capital's most famous blacksmith shop, Twilight Forge, is also where the sword Saint Heidenreich had his sword forged. But when the blacksmith hears he wants to forge a sword with gemstones, he absolutely refuses to help. That's not a sword at all. It's just a decorative piece. My pride won't allow me to make such a thing. In fury, Rouge slams his palm on the wooden table. The design blueprints on the table flutter lightly from the impact. We at Twilight Forge only craft weapons for knights, so if you want decorative pieces, please seek elsewhere. I came here not to make a decorative piece, but to forge a weapon. Rouge's gaze grows sharper. A weapon? Looking at the design you submitted, you want to embed a moonstone in the center of the blade. Moonstones are gemstones. Their strength is inherently inferior to ordinary metal, and you also want mana patterns carved on it. This kind of sword will shatter after one swing. Seeing Julian won't budge, Rouge's entire face twists in anger. At this moment, a beautiful woman sitting nearby shows a troubled expression. Lord Julian, we engrave our workshop sigil on the weapons we forge. If this weapon breaks after one use, it will damage our brand reputation. Moonstones are gemstones after all. A sword forged with a gemstone as its core will inevitably be fragile. We hope Lord Julian can understand our concerns. Then, as long as I guarantee not to break that sword, wouldn't that suffice? Huh? Do you think that's possible? Moonstones are minerals with hardness lower than ordinary gemstones. If you're worried, how about this? I'll give you the payment and gemstones first. You forge the sword, then test whether I can use that blade without damaging it. What are you getting at? Ignoring Rouge's flustered state, Julian continues. If it breaks during testing, I'll forfeit the customization fee already paid. What do you think? Fine. If it breaks during testing, we'll pretend nothing happened. Several days later, after the blacksmith's work day and night, the sword is finally complete. The moment he grasps it, a cool sensation spreads from his fingertips. When the mana flowing within his body is infused into the hilt, the blade suddenly glows blue. Yes, this is the true moonlight sword! Before long, they arrive at a wide open space. Blacksmiths gather around to watch. Then Rouge brings out an armored wooden dummy. If Lord Julian can split this armor with the moonstone sword, we can confidently entrust it to you. Looking closely, the armor has minor scratches everywhere. The armor's thickness is a full centimeter. Ordinary armor is only 2 millimeters thick. Rather than armor, this is more like a block of iron. Once everything is ready, Julian grips the moonstone sword hilt. He briefly regulates his breathing and infuses mana into the blade. Holding his breath, he raises the sword high. As the sword's shadow descends, everyone without exception widens their eyes in shock. Looking at the armor fragments scattered on the ground, and the completely intact moonlight sword in Julian's hand, he did it. At this moment, the dialogue box before his eyes also indicates, trait, incomplete moonlight blade has evolved into moonlight blade. Finally complete. A satisfied smile appears on Julian's face. Even with such immense mana infused, the blade shows no wear. I really underestimated you, Rouge says awkwardly from the side. But even as Julian is leaving, Rouge remains uneasy, repeatedly warning him not to let it break. Meanwhile, master and disciple Haydn and Linnea, upon learning that Julian effortlessly cleaved through the armored dummy, both find it incredible. He's still so exceptional. It's a shame I couldn't witness it firsthand. Didn't you go on a mission with him? How did it feel? Yes, he's truly strong. Frighteningly strong. Do you feel he's somewhat strange? Strange. What do you mean? I think he's somewhat like someone from the Dawn Society. Society. After leaving the blacksmith shop, Julian walks home in good spirits. He feels he's becoming more and more like Julian, but he also can't forget his goal is to return to his original world. He understands he can't keep living in this world as Julian. After all, this world will ultimately perish. The game's ending requires Haydn to prevent the Demon King's resurrection, so he must now prevent things from worsening. The story has now reached the stage where the Dawn Society appears. This is a stubborn, villainous organization. They will stop at nothing to resurrect the Demon King Barbados. They're also the mortal enemies of master and disciple Haydn. Linnea's father was killed by this organization. Should he seek cooperation with Haydn Reich now? But convincing him won't be easy. What should he do? Maybe like the original Julian in the story, infiltrate the Dawn Society to gather intelligence? But how would he get in? Just as Julian is deliberating, his body triggers the trait Astounding Intuition. Who's there? But the alley is completely empty. He can't sense any presence. Who could it be? Is it an illusion? But Astounding Intuition never errs. As a landing sound echoes, a cloaked figure appears before him. We meet again Julian. The other is a petite woman. She's a witch with exceptional dark magic knowledge. Michael Eleanor, a bishop of the Dawn Society. As for the man beside her, he should be Haydn's mortal enemy, Eleanor. Julian speaks first, and Eleanor doesn't beat around the bush either. Even dressed like this, you still recognize me. Truly worthy of Julian. Of course, I even know what you want to do. That makes things much easier then. Eleanor responds, clapping her hands. How about giving us an answer right now? What? Actually, Julian has no idea what she's referring to. He was purely bluffing earlier. This? I still need to consider it carefully. Julian answers, feigning composure. That won't do, Lord Julian. After all, you were the one who first proposed wanting to join the society. That's right. So please allow me to consider further. Besides, there's no time limit on joining, is there? Julian's heart races. He never expected that Julian had already made contact with the Dawn Society and submitted an application. That's true. However, you should understand we might have different considerations. Eleanor answers somewhat urgently. What if you're using joining as a pretext to investigate and capture us? After all, you're the royal family's most loyal lapdog. Hearing this, Julian falls into deep thought. Damn. They're already suspicious. But I'm not here to investigate the Dawn Society. I want to join the organization. If the Empire finds out, I'm finished. And that will lead to the worst ending. If Haydn discovers I joined the Dawn Society, one of us will have to die. Then I'll never be able to leave this game world. How do I escape this situation? I didn't know beforehand I'd be suspected of being involved in this. Julian hesitates for a long while before answering. You know too much. What if I insist on withdrawing? Julian's tone becomes serious. Then you'll have to stay here today. The man clicks his tongue and steps forward. He throws back his robe, revealing that the burly man is Monsieur from the Dawn Society's combat division, possessing combat prowess far beyond ordinary knights. Remember this scar? He points to his left eye. This wound you carved into me throbs every night. Sorry, I don't really remember, small fry. As the words fall, the two lock eyes. Battle is about to erupt. The next second, Monsieur suddenly kicks off the ground and lunges forward. Julian triggers his passive ability, Astounding Intuition. He draws his sword to block, but in his haste, what he draws isn't the Moonlight's sword. It's an ordinary iron blade. This'll have to do for now. In the narrow alley, sword clashes against fist. Sparks fly, briefly illuminating the entire alley. After a round of combat, Julian's sword already shows severe cracks. This is getting dangerous. Just as Julian retreats a step, trying to regroup, Monsieur grins with sinister satisfaction. Then he channels all his power into his fist. He strikes fiercely toward Julian. Julian can't dodge in time. The fist lands squarely on his chest. He's instantly sent flying into the wall. The sword instantly snaps in two. How's that? How does it feel to be beaten like this by small fry Julian? Monsieur doesn't forget to taunt. Hearing this, Julian's entire body burns with fury. Right, why must he always clean up Julian's mess? He's tired of passively dealing with the trouble the original Julian caused. The two nearby show expressions of disbelief. Impossible. Injured like that, and he can still move? However, Julian's emotions have reached their peak. He braces his hands on his knees, preparing to stand. The pop-up beside him lights up, displaying inherent trait. Awakening Eye has manifested. This is really getting on my nerves.